kingdom. Cheers. A toast to the king.
You elect will drink wine new with Yahweh Shai. You elect. As of right now, we say hopeful elect. You elect of Israel out there will drink wine new with our Lord Yahweh Shai in his Father's kingdom, which is going to be the kingdom of heaven here on this planet Earth once Yahweh Shai returns. When our Lord comes back, one of the first things he's going to do is have a toast with his men. He's going to have a toast with his men, those that stood stiffly for his name and his Father's name. Let's read this one more time. Matthew chapter 26, verse 29. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine, which is wine, which is made from grapes, as you know. And our Lord, he loves to drink, man. That's something that our Lord took pleasure in when he was here on this planet Earth. He's not going to do it anymore until he returns to do it with you. Showing just how much he loves his elect, man. He's not even going to drink until he does it again with you. I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So what a moment that's going to be, man. And you can only imagine the quality of wine that's going to be. Our Lord Yahweh Shai, he has access to different things that we don't even know about, man. Access to different grapes you don't know about. Has access to an entirely different quality of life that we don't know about. But he's going to reveal it to you. He's going to give it to you when he returns. Now, you have what's called a loyal toast. A loyal toast. I'm going to read this real quick. A loyal toast is a salute given to the sovereign monarch or head of state of the country in which a formal gathering is given. In this case, the sovereign monarch or head of state would be Yahweh Shai. He's our sovereign monarch. He controls everything, man. But guess what? He's also going to extend that power to you elect. He's going to share that power with you. A loyal toast is a salute given to the sovereign monarch or head of state of the country in which a formal gathering is given, or by expatriates of that country, whether or not the particular head of state is present. In this case, the Lord will be present. So you're not going to have someone speaking for him giving a toast. He's going to host the toast. He's going to be there, man. We're living in a time we're going to meet Yahweh Shai. You're going to meet him face to face, which is proof also that we have to be changed. We can't meet the Lord like this. He's going to change you. He's going to crown you, and he's going to toast with you. Now let's read some more. It says, it is usually a matter of protocol at state and military occasions and a display of patriotic sentiment at civilian events. The toast is usually initiated and recited by the host, which will be Yahweh Shai, before being repeated by the assembled guests in unison.
To the kingdom. Cheers.
Sometimes when Akim are among each other, we'll do little small toasts. Brothers may be like La Yashirala, holding up cups. But imagine the Lord himself hosting it, man. And we join in. And I was reading something else, and pretty much they said in order to have what they call a loyal toast, you would use wine. That's the beverage of choice. And once again, our Lord, he's coming back, and we're going to see him with all that power, man. But he's going to extend that power to you. Now, reading on a monarch, it says a monarch is a head of state for life or until abdication, in this case for life. And therefore, the head of state of a monarch may exercise the highest authority and power in the state. Or others may wield that power on behalf of the monarch. And that will be you joint heirs. You different men that are going to reign with the Lord, man. Usually a monarch either personally inherits the lawful right to exercise the state's sovereign rights, often referred to as the throne or the crown, or is selected by an established process from a family or cohort eligible to provide the nation's monarch. In this case, the Heavenly Father Yahweh himself selected his son Yahushua. And once again, when our Lord returns, he's going to wield that power to you elect as well. Once again, he's going to change you, he's going to crown you, and he's going to have a toast with you. A kingly toast.
To the kingdom. Cheers. A toast with the king. Raise your glasses, my friends. A toast with the king. A toast with the king. Raise your goblets, everyone. A toast to a prosperous future. To the king. To our glorious future. To the victors, blow the spoils. Raise your glasses. Cheers. Raise your chalices. Golden age of the kingdom. A toast to the king.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah Bahasham, Hakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing His word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahasham Shah. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scripture through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shah. All right, once again, another morning news and prophecy, and this lesson is inspired by the book of Isaiah 47:1, all right, about Babylon coming to sit in the dust, okay, and what we're seeing on the global stage, is America having to sit in the dust. There's no more throne for thee. Okay, because for the longest, America has been the throne of the elites in the earth, and through the economic and military power, okay, of America, the elites invested so much into America, making the dollar the Federal Reserve currency, okay, creating this demand for the dollar through the petrodollar, all right, which gave America, the ability to print wealth. Okay, and through that ability, they've been able to weaponize, okay, the dollar, because if you don't have, if a country doesn't have, petrodollars, okay, the American dollar, okay, if they don't hold dollars where they're not able, okay, to do trade as efficient. Now, as of late, there have been workarounds with certain nations. They have workarounds, but for a long time, all right, the American dollar was in high demand, and they created, all right, this military budget that was astronomical compared to these other nations, man. Okay, and America was able to prop itself, okay, all around the earth. It was able to prop itself, okay, and establish itself all throughout the earth, man. You know, and the elites, all right, they used America to weaken the nations morally, all right, economically, okay, and physically with the hammer, the military, if need be. Okay, and what we're seeing now is a dismantling of that. Okay, and the Lord said that these things will happen. We're watching the power, okay, of Yahweh Bashim al Shah on display. You know, now how much, you know, the elites are involved in every event, you know, we can only speculate. But we know even with that, the Lord controls the elites. Okay, so there's nothing that's happening outside the will of Yahweh Bashim al Shah. It's all within prophecy, man. Okay, now let's go here to the book of Isaiah 47. You know, got a few videos to get into. All right, but this is Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon." Okay, and we're talking about sitting in the dust. You know, that's confusion and also in a low estate. You know, because America has enjoyed, you know, been the whore that rided the beast. Okay, and now we send the beast from the buck this whore off. Okay, and burn the ass with fire, man. As this war escalates, we know other prophecies have to happen, and these prophecies are going to happen while the war is going on. You see, this is the war is conventional right now. You see, and the war can stay conventional for a long time, or for a long duration, which means it can be months and months. Okay, it could be a year or two that they can go back and forth like this while these devils begin to implement, okay, this new world order. You know, they can do false flag while this war is going on. They can do, you know, they can crash the economy. Okay, switch over to a digital system. Okay, and eventually make the MOT mandate while the war is going on. And we know when they make the MOTB mandate, it's going to open the door for this war to go from conventional to nuclear, because all they're doing is changing the warheads. Okay, they're going to use these same hypersonic projectiles that they're using now in this conventional war. Okay, but they're going to load them, all right, with nuclear warheads. Okay, after the MOTB is made mandatory, man. Okay, so we're seeing all these prophecies, okay, intertwined and happening at the same time. Okay, and it's building up to that great climax of nuclear destruction and the return of Yahweh. Okay, so in the midst of all this going on, we're seeing America being brought low. Okay, old virgin daughter of Babylon sit on the ground. Okay, in the lower state. You see, it said, "There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate," man. And let's get this word daughter real quick of Babylon. Get this word daughter. Okay, because you know, speaking of America, because you go into this word daughter, which that word in the Hebrew is bath. Okay, bath. All right, which is um it goes down here to section 2. It says as personification. Okay, so America is Babylon personified. Okay, it says description. It says or description of character. Okay, in Babylon, I mean America takes on all the characteristics of ancient Babylon. Okay, even going back to Nimrod. Okay, with this whole one world order. Okay, agenda. You know, it goes back to ancient Babylon and Nimrod, when Nimrod was in complete rebellion to the Most High. Okay, and America comes in that same character. It personifies that, man. Okay, you go to the Neo-Babylonian Empire. You have, you know, the Chaldeans, which was heavy into astrology. Okay, stargazers. Okay, well, that's the same thing today. These elites are heavy into astrology, man. Okay, because on February 28th, when they launched this war against Iran, you had 6 planets aligned. February 28th. Okay, this is the month of March. Okay, which March goes back to the Roman god of war. Okay, so these devils are heavy into astrology on the left hand side. Okay, soothsayers and prognosticators, okay, which they go into telling omens, by the heavens, the stars, the moon, the planets, the sun, okay, and America embodies that, man. The left hand priesthood that runs America, they're tapped into that, just as those ancient Chaldeans were, man. Okay, so America, all right, is the personification, all right, it's the character, okay, of ancient Babylon and the Neo-Babylonian Empire, man. You see, except it's the great. It would do these things on a much larger scale. That's why it's called the great. All right, goes into the scale that America would do these things. All right, so Isaiah 47:1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate, man. Because when you go into women, born of royal houses, they will be tender and delicate because they will never have to do any hard labor. Okay, so those women, will be pampered, have maidens, have ladies in waiting. Okay, and America has enjoyed that privilege in the earth of being like the lady of the house. Okay, because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Okay, so the elites, this is their house. The earth is their house. Okay, and America has enjoyed that benefit of being the lady of the house. And the lady of the house will have authority, okay, over all the servants, okay, of the house. She will have authority. She will be submissive to, her Lord, okay, the Lord of the house, okay, but she will have authority over all the servants of the house. And America has enjoyed that privilege for a long time, having authority over all these other nations, man. Okay, and what's happening, all right, these nations are beginning to throw that authority off, especially as they see, okay, America doesn't have it like it used to. Okay, especially as they see America is looking vulnerable, man. It's outdated. Okay, so it says, verse 2, it says, take the millstone and grind meal, uncover thy locks. Okay, a woman uncovering her head. Okay, because going to grind and mill, this was a job of a slave woman. Okay, see, America, because the earth has been in captivity to this American dollar, man. And the perks that Americans have enjoyed for a long time comes off, this this demand for the dollar. Okay, to where the earth has been in captivity to this dollar, man. So the lifestyle that people enjoy, okay, the convenience, these goods that come from all over the earth, that's easily accessible. Okay, because the earth for a while has been subservient to America, man. Okay, but now there's been a change. Now these nations are shifting gears, and you can tell by how these nations are talking that they've discussed plans, okay, that doesn't involve America, man. They still want to go forward with the New World Order, all right, but you can tell with these certain talking points in these videos that these nations have discussed, all right, other plans, okay, that don't involve America, especially they see America looking weak, America looking vulnerable, man. Okay, they see that a lot of this military presence all over the world, okay, is nothing but a prop. Okay, America has been able to ride off, this great military reputation. Okay, so it got to the point to where wherever American military personnel was at, okay, it was a major respect for that. There was a major respect for military presence throughout the world, but now their respect has been shattered in under a month. And that's the will of the Lord. Okay? So it says, take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Okay? So America is being demoted on the global stage, man, from being the lady of the house to being likened to a slave girl, man. All right, this whore is being demoted to a slave girl, and the American people are going to feel it. Okay, you're going to feel that shock. All right, of American empire not being respected in the world. Okay, that's going to have a major effect on the economy and eventually going to crash it off. Okay, because when the American economy collapsed, the world economy collapsed. Okay, because the collapse of the dollar is going to drag every currency, all right, in the grave with it, man. Okay, and that's what the elites think they're going to spring this new world order, okay, and ride off into the sunset. Nah, man. Okay, because him making this, I say when this devil makes this MOTB mandatory, okay, then he goes into a whole nother. He opens a whole nother door. Okay, he opened one door with the Third World War. Okay, he make the MOTB mandatory. He's going to open up a whole nother door. Okay, but this devil is already at the point, okay, of no return. All right, so let's go here because I want to get this first video. Let's get this first video. So this is these NATO and EU nations. You know, they've been saying they're not going to help. Okay, the whore America. But just listen to these talking points, you can tell. And if a brother can post it in Obadiah, all right, 1 and 7, we'll get straight to the point. But let's 4. Let's go 4. Yeah, let's go Obadiah verses 4 through 7. You know, read into it. But let's play this. All right. You can tell these nations are discussing moving forward without America. See, because America just been an asshole. These nations just had to tolerate America because of the stronghold of the dollar, okay, and the threat of constant military action, you know, because America had this, they had this persona, as if they were just untouchable, man. That there was nothing can be done against America's military. It was just this untouchable force in the earth. Okay? And it still has the ability to do a lot of damage. Okay? But it can be damaged. And that's what these nations are seeing. Okay? Of course, there was never no question about America's military being able to do damage. All right? But what we're seeing is it's limited. You see? It ain't what it was all hyped up to be. It's powerful, but it's still overhyped. And that's being exposed. And these nations are seeing this, man. Now these nations have other options. Now these nations can pivot away from America and start to move into something else, which is all prophecy, man. Okay? America being demoted and looked at as insignificant. Okay? This is all prophecy, man. You see? So let's play this. And then listen to a few of these talking points. It will segue to another video. Let's play this.
Furious world leaders are freezing Donald Trump and the United States out of critical alliances that are forming transnationally. So over the past 24 hours, there was a major Canadian Nordic summit that took place in Oslo, Norway. You had Prime Minister Carney. Then you also had the prime ministers of Norway, Denmark, and Finland, Iceland, and Sweden. And they all were complimenting Carney for standing up against Donald Trump and his despicable regime. Maple Midas, elbows up, how Canada has united the entire world against the Trump regime, or I should say the entire free world, with Carney taking the lead. I want to show you, as Mette Frederiksen, the Prime Minister of Denmark, what she had to say as she talked about how Carney's been such a powerful voice standing up for Denmark and its territory, Greenland, against Donald Trump's threats and attacks. Watch the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, for yourself right here. Let's play this clip.
And I have to say to you that you have a lot of supporters in all countries. The speech you gave in Davos, I have never experienced anything like this. I mean, people in Denmark, and I guess the same goes for the rest of the Nordic countries, have been talking about, they have been reading your speech. And I don't think I have ever heard so many reflections on a speech from a colleague as I have heard about your speech in Davos. And it is because you show leadership. You were talking about how democracies can work together and that we have to connect even closer in this world where the old world order is gone and it will probably not come back. So we have to.
You see that? Look at the language. The old world is gone. Okay? So these nations are on board, and these are the 10 horns. Denmark, all right, Iceland. You go into these nations, these are 10 horn nations. Okay, now Canada is not of the 10 horns. It's a part of the UN and NATO, but it's not a part of the 10 horns. All right, but you have several of these 10 horn nations. Okay, speaking about a new world, and see, the old world was. And when these nations speak of an old world, they're also talking about an old world dominated by America. Okay. They all have reached a point like, nah, America, okay, they're reaching the point like America can't come with us, man. Okay. This is what's going with these other nations, man. All right. And she said that old world. So they're down with this new world order, but you can tell, all right, that they've been discussing, okay, getting America, all right, off the board, man. Okay, and that's their role in prophecy, because these EU nations, these 10 horn nations, they can't do nothing conventionally as far as war. The only thing that they can do is what the scriptures say, is burn this whore with fire. All these 10 horn nations that have nuclear capability, the only thing that they can do to be relevant is to nuke America, man. That's their only relevance, okay, as far as war, because they can't project, all right, power. The UK, Trump calling these niggas to come. The niggas ain't got nothing. The 1 to 2, their militaries are small, all right. Their budgets are nowhere near the American budget, okay. So they don't have, all right, just this massive, okay, navy and these massive, stockpiles of weapons. They don't have that, okay, like America, man. Okay. So the only thing that makes sense for them is to take America off the board eventually, man. Okay. And we're going to show you also how these nations helped America in all these other wars, but now they're falling back because prophecy, okay? Because prophecy is in the driver's seat, man. So let's play this.
To build something new, and it has to be a world order that is built on the values that we represent, the leaders standing in front of you today. I am very grateful, I have to say this, for all the help we have received in the Kingdom of Denmark, Greenland and Denmark. We have had a totally unacceptable pressure from US and the US president. It has been very difficult for the people in Greenland to experience this. And one of the reasons why we have been able to stand firmly on very common values, that you have to respect sovereign states, that you have to respect a people's right for self-determination, is because of our good friends in the Nordic countries, in Europe, but also with partners outside, especially you, Mark. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that. Now we have to continue our work. We are deepening our cooperation in the Arctic region. It is important. We are deepening our cooperation also militarily in our own region, not only the Arctic, but also more locally in the northern part of Europe. It's going I think, in the right direction. But with everything going on now, with the war going on in Ukraine, US unfortunately lifting up sanctions on Russia, a war in Middle East, countries like ours have to stand together. We have to stick together and we have to work together. And that is what we have committed ourselves to do once again. So thank you, Jonas, for convening this meeting today.
Next, I will share with you the Prime Minister of Norway, Jonas Gahr Støre. Here he is right here talking about how, you know what, when it comes to Donald Trump's unlawful war against Iran, we didn't start this thing. This isn't our war. You see all of us standing here. This isn't our war. Obviously, we're impacted by it, but Donald Trump's realizing how things can quickly spiral out of control. Here, let's play the Prime Minister of Norway. Here, play this clip.
I think we are not part of this war. We did not initiate it. but we are all affected by it. So I think there's a clear call here that the international law must be respected, and it should be the responsibility of the concerned parties to find ways of ending the hostilities that now have great impact around the world. We are concerned to see that there is still an escalation. There are still worries about how the world economy will be affected by the energy situation around the Gulf. For our part, we will use any channel we have, any opportunity we have to urge the parties to find a way that will not escalate this war. I think that's what we can say. It is not our war. It seems to us that the plan for how it will develop is pretty unclear. And that's the danger with initiating wars, that they rarely follow a script.
Yeah, so they're telling this nigga, look, this not our war. All right. And then they're seeing America like, nigga, y'all ain't got no plan. Okay. And what he said, wars don't follow scripts. Okay. Well, they follow the scriptures. You see, this is where prophecy, understanding prophecy is crucial and vital and valuable, man. Okay. Because we know how this thing is going to turn out. We know the alliances that are going to be made. Okay. From the small hats. All right. Tossing America into this war, man. We know the alliances that's going to come out of this in the end game. Okay. And it all goes to Yahweh Shai. And that's something they for sure not tapped into. Okay. But they're just playing their role in prophecy, and they're constantly distancing themselves, all right, from America and the small hats, man. Because America and the small hats are being isolated for judgment, man. Okay. So let's go here to this next video. I'm going to get these precepts. Okay. What you see in America and these small hats on the global stage, because the world looking like, man, y'all niggas, because the EU is being affected way more, all right, economically than America, man. Okay. For a war that that they didn't have counsel on. Okay. It was just, all right, the small hats in America, okay, doing their own thing. So now they just out there, man. Okay. And it's not going how they wanted it to go. So let's go here. Let's get this video, then we get these. Let's get a couple of these precepts. So let's go here to the book of Obadiah. I think the brother got it. All right, yep. This is Warriors. Okay, Yahushua 144, Obadiah 1 and 4. It said, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord. Okay, so we're seeing the Lord beginning this process of bringing, okay, this American empire to the ground. The devil, he was able to build himself up to where he has weaponry in the space, in the heavens. His main, all right, his strength, his military, his main strength, okay, is what? The Air Force. Okay. He's able to destroy nations from above. He's been able to destroy and pummel nations from above. Okay. So he's like this eagle. An eagle's a proud, apex predator, man. And that's been the nature of America. Okay. And then this devil has weaponry even in the heavens, man. So this devil has been exalted. The Lord has exalted this man in the earth, and he's filled with pride. Okay. And they know what happens with pride, destruction, man. Because he's gone way too far. He's overstretched. Because one thing pride does, it gives you a false sense of reality. Okay? Because like I say, America is a powerful military. Okay? But with pride, it gives you a false sense of reality to where you're blind to your limitations. No matter how mighty you are, you're limited. Okay, this devil is limited, man, and that's what the world is seeing. Like, this nigga limited as hell. This nigga can be stopped. Okay, so the earth is taking note. All these nations are taking notes, and this opens up, okay, another avenue for these nations to fulfill prophecy, man. Okay, it says, if these came to thee, if robbers by night, all right, how art thou cut off? Would not It says, would not they have stolen till they had enough? All right. If the grape gatherers come to thee, will they not leave some grapes? Okay. So Esau is going to be, America is going to be completely emptied out. There's going to be nothing left of America, man, because of, someone that, is a robber, he will steal till he had enough. Someone was a thief, he will come and take till he had enough. Okay. Or someone that was, gleaning grapes. Okay. A passerby, he passed by your fields and, he would glean grapes, enough what he need to keep it pushing. Okay. But when the Lord judges America, man, he going to clear this bitch out. He going to empty this bitch out, man. Okay. With nothing. Okay. But the desert. And it says, and this is the build up to that. Everything we're seeing is a build up to that. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up, man? And it starts with the prophets, the spirit of the Lord that's on the prophets, man. Okay, to really put this devil out there, man. Okay, to really identify, okay, who are the Edomites? Okay, who is Babylon? What's Babylon? See, all these things are being identified and put out there, man. Okay, now the true narrative according to the scriptures is out there. Okay, his destruction, his third world war, the MOTB, everything that this devil is up to is out there now. Okay, and that's why these nations are looking at the small hats in America like, wait a minute, because even certain these nations, they like, even with the small hats, they see like with this greater Israel project, they will have to take pieces of different nations in their region. So even their agenda is like these niggas, because the more we get closer to the new world order, the more these nations are starting to look like, wait a minute, this is goddamn, this the biggest scam ever. Like I say, they're with it, but then they're peeping it because it's being exposed. Okay, because you have to understand, these devils, they deal treacherously amongst one another. They have these agreements and they agree in particular things. Okay, but there's no integrity, man. This is Esau. Everybody's shaking hands with a knife behind their back, man. Okay, so we're finna see a lot of crosses, double crosses, triple crosses. Okay, so a lot of treachery is going to lead to just a full-blown global war. All right, with all these different nations directly involved, man. Okay, and eventually it's going to go nuclear after the mandate of the MOTB. Okay, so everything is being exposed and put out there via the prophets, man. The prophets are the foundation of the exposure. You have these, these alternative media and alternative news, okay, and they go into particular things, certain insiders, and even that's a tool for the prophets, okay, because they're lacking when it comes to prophecy. They're lacking when it comes to the spiritual aspect of what's going on, okay. There's certain information that they don't have, that they're not privy to. There's certain information that they got that we're not privy to, okay, and we use that information to confirm the word of the Lord, okay, to show the word of the Lord is at work, so these nations beginning to take a step back, okay, and not look at America with the respect they got this contempt for America, man. Okay, all this contempt that we see for America, well, this is biblical, man. Okay, and it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, okay, like they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Okay, because these European nations, have gotten wealthy because they're not innocent. Okay, none of these nations are innocent, man. They're all going to be judged and they're all going to captivity. Okay, and we're just seeing them, all right, begin to take counsel, okay, to undermine America, man, and take America off the board. We're just seeing them get ready to make that move. Okay, well, all these nations have partook in the wickedness, okay, of these elite bankers, man. Some way more than others. All right. But when it comes to these EU nations, okay, And you know there's still some jealousy about America being a superpower. You know that the Europeans feel abandoned, because you had those European superpowers, of old, the French, the Spanish, the British, those three horns, okay, which America rose up above, that was that little horn. It started off as a colony, okay, and it advanced past, okay, the French, the British, and the Spanish, okay, in superiority in the earth, man, okay. And World War One, World War Two, with these Edomites fighting over who's going to run the earth, man, okay, who's going to dominate, all right, this Edomite kingdom, okay. So World War Three, that's going to be a factor as well. These Edomites jockeying for position, even these elites, okay. So we're seeing these different, fractions, okay. All these different old alliances, the UN, the EU, and all these things beginning to fraction, okay. And America and these small hats is being isolated, man, okay. So let's play this video here. Okay, this is the next one I got. Just to show you how far America is beginning to slip as far as their respect, man.
The stage has been set for a dramatic geopolitical showdown, but the script is not playing out the way the man in the Mar-a-Lago briefing room had hoped. In a stunning display of diplomatic defiance, America's closest allies have delivered a collective and resounding no to Donald Trump's desperate plea for warships in the Strait of Hormuz. We are witnessing a historic realignment as European powers, along with key Asian partners, are publicly distancing themselves from what they see as an illegal and unwinnable war of choice against Iran.
U.S. allies are reacting with caution or just flat out refusing a request from Donald Trump to help secure oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday publicly pressured foreign leaders, expressing frustration. None has been enthusiastic about helping to escort oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz.
The allies reject Trump's call for sending warships into the Strait of Hormuz.
The Trump administration, having unilaterally escalated tensions to a boiling point, now finds itself isolated, begging for help from nations it has spent years alienating. The strait, through which a fifth of the world's oil flows, remains firmly in Iran's grip, and the global economy is seizing up as a result. But instead of a coalition of the willing marching behind the American flag, we are seeing a coalition of the unwilling, running in the opposite direction, leaving Trump exposed and furious. The numbers are catastrophic for the average American. While the neocons in Washington cheerlead for endless war, the price at the pump has skyrocketed to a national average of $3.58 per gallon, the highest it has been under Trump's entire tenure. This isn't just an inconvenience, it is a tax on the working class. The consumer price index is bleeding red, with electricity costs up nearly 5% and groceries rising by 2.4%. And these figures don't even fully account for the shockwaves of the recent strikes. The American job market is tanking, with a loss of 92,000 jobs in February alone. Yet the administration's priority is bombing ancient civilizations and demanding that Europe clean up its mess. The frustration is palpable. People are struggling to fill their tanks and feed their families, all because a president with an ego the size of a skyscraper thinks he can bully the world into submission. Before we dive deep into the details of this mass allied mutiny, the military nightmare Iran is preparing for any ships stupid enough to enter those waters, and the secret back-channel negotiations where Europe is begging Iran for mercy, I need you to hit that like button and share this video. The corporate media won't tell you the truth about who is really winning this war. Drop a comment, even if it's just a dot, to tell the algorithm that you want real, honest journalism. And if you haven't already, subscribe and join this movement, because we are going where the mainstream fear to tread. Let's get into the specifics of this allied abandonment, and it is brutal. Germany, the economic powerhouse of Europe, has effectively told Trump to take his war and shove it. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius didn't just decline. He mocked the request with the precision of an intellectual dismantling a clown act. He pointed out the sheer absurdity of the demand, asking publicly, "What does Donald Trump expect a handful of European frigates to accomplish in the Strait of Hormuz that the powerful American Navy cannot achieve alone? That is the question, isn't it? If the United States Navy, with its 11 carrier strike groups and global reach, with a crew of 200 supposed to do, Pistorius was brutally honest, stating clearly, "It is not our war. We did not start it." Take a listen.
So you had the German, the German politician, he's like, well, if America mighty, and you can tell he throwing shots. He said if the mighty American military can't open the Strait of Hormuz, what our little two ships gonna do? Okay, what is our two little frigate ships gonna do? Okay, because these nations know, like America, all right, when you go into it, America has this crazy military budget. So these nations like, nigga, all this money y'all spend on military, nigga, you can't deal with Iran. Okay, you can't keep the Strait of Hormuz open. You can't protect your bases. Okay, you can't protect the small hats. You can't, Tel Aviv. You can't protect, little old Tel Aviv. You see? So now these nations are looking like, man, America has sold the world a lie, man, because a lot of these alliances is based off, all right, America, all right, security. And for the longest, that promise of security has held because no one has tried America like this before. So there was an assumption that American security was impenetrable. Okay. If you had a American military base on your soil, okay, you was looked at as untouchable. You looked at as off limits. Okay, but Iran has dispelled that in under a month, in 2 weeks and some change, man. Okay, so let's jump past him because I think he gonna speak in German. Well, let's go here.
And that there is simply no mandate for involvement. They are washing their hands of this mess, focusing on their own defense and recognizing that this was a reckless adventure launched without consultation. Then we have the response from the United Kingdom and Canada, a study in diplomatic evasion. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, after getting a phone call from Trump, carefully ruled out any NATO mission, saying the UK is working with allies to craft a viable plan. But reading between the lines, it's clear they are stalling. They want no part of a wider war. Across the Atlantic, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, met with Starmer, and while they expressed concern about the conflict, the message was clear. Canada is not participating in this US-Israeli-led war. They are worried about the economic fallout and the disruption to shipping, but they are not willing to send a single ship to die for Trump's ego. France and Italy, meanwhile, are reportedly doing something far more interesting than preparing for war. They are negotiating with Iran directly.
Planning to publish your book? You could reach 3 billion more readers. If you've written a book and you're thinking about...
According to intelligence reports and analysis from outlets like the Hong Kong-based HK01, Paris and Rome are holding talks with Tehran to secure exceptions for their commercial vessels. They are asking Iran for permission to let their ships through, completely bypassing the United States. This is the ultimate humiliation. Allies treating Iran as the legitimate authority in the region while ignoring the American president. And the response from Asia is equally damning. Japan, under Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, is heading to Washington, but its pacifist constitution is a perfect shield. It cannot and will not send warships to engage in an offensive war. South Korea is carefully reviewing the situation, which is diplomatic code for "we are hiding under the desk, hoping these blows over." Australia has flatly ruled out sending a Navy ship. Even Greece and Spain have publicly declared they will not join any military mission, with Spain's foreign minister stressing that Europe should be focused on ending the war, not expanding it. So, here we have Donald Trump, the master dealmaker, standing alone, hat in hand, rejected by the entire world. The question is, why is everyone running away? The reason the Allies are terrified of stepping foot in the Strait of Hormuz is because they have watched the last 17 days of combat and realized that Iran is not Iraq, and it is not Afghanistan. The United States and Israel launched what they thought would be a decapitating shock and awe campaign, killing over 200 people, including civilians and schoolgirls. But they failed. They failed to establish total air superiority. They failed to decapitate the Iranian military command structure. They failed to change the regime. And while they were failing, every American base in the Middle East became a target. Gulf countries that host U.S. troops are bleeding, hit by retaliatory strikes that have exposed the vulnerability of the American fortress. The world saw the mighty U.S. military, for all its technological prowess, unable to stop Iranian missiles and drones from hitting their marks. The myth of invincibility is gone. Allies look at that and think, if the U.S. can't protect its own bases, how on earth can it protect a frigate in the narrowest choke point on Earth? If any coalition is stupid enough to sail in, they are sailing into a killing zone. Let's talk about the military reality that terrifies the Pentagon. Forget the old scenarios about naval mines. That's 20th century warfare. Iran fights smart. Military experts confirm that Tehran possesses one of the largest and most advanced anti-ship missile arsenals in the region, capable of turning the strait into a furnace without laying a single mine. We are talking about missiles like the Abu Mahdi, a cruise missile with a range of over 1,000 kilometers that can skim the waves and hit a moving ship with terrifying accuracy. Then there are ballistic missiles like the Zulfikar and Qayyam, adapted with naval seekers to plunge down onto the deck of a destroyer at hypersonic speeds, a threat that most naval air defense systems are not designed to counter. These systems are launched from mobile trucks or hidden deep inside mountains, making them virtually impossible to destroy in a preemptive strike. Imagine a U.S. destroyer trying to escort a tanker through the 30-kilometer-wide strait. It would be swarmed by a mix of long-range cruise missiles, high-speed ballistic missiles, and explosive-laden drones, all launched simultaneously from hidden bunkers. It would be a turkey shoot. Insurance companies would refuse to cover any ship trying to run that gauntlet, effectively closing the strait without a single shot being fired by the Iranian Navy. We saw this exact model work in the Red Sea, where the Yemeni army, using only drones and missiles, paralyzed Israeli-linked shipping for years without firing a torpedo. The stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz is essentially a nuke dropped on the global economy, and the fallout is most devastating for the American consumer. As we mentioned, gas prices are soaring past records, but the pain goes deeper. The United States lost 92,000 jobs in February, and the economic uncertainty is freezing investment. The cost of this war is astronomical. In the first 2 days alone, it cost an estimated $6 billion, enough to pay for a full year of healthcare for 660,000 Americans. And for what? So a few defense contractors can get richer? The American people are not fooled. Every major poll shows they disapprove of this war. They see their paychecks shrinking while the bombs fall. The administration's promise to lower prices on day one has turned into a nightmare of $4 milk and $60 tanks of gas. And this is where it gets delicious. Iran, holding all the cards, reportedly laid down its terms. You want to trade? You want your ships to pass? Then you stop dealing in US dollars and you buy your oil in Chinese yuan. Think about the magnitude of that demand. Iran is using the blockade to force a de-dollarization of the global energy market. They are telling Europe that if they want to survive the winter, they need to sidestep the American financial system and embrace the currency of China, Iran's strategic partner. This is the ultimate revenge for decades of sanctions. The EU, which so obediently followed Washington's line for years, is now being forced to choose between economic collapse and defying the US petrodollar. It is a geopolitical earthquake. Meanwhile, the military-industrial complex is screaming. A report from Politico, cited by international affairs journals, reveals that America's allies are furious and scared because the Pentagon is burning through munitions so fast that it cannot fulfill the weapons contracts these same allies paid for. European nations that bought American air defense systems to protect themselves from Russia are watching those very missiles being launched at Iran. Asian allies worried about China are realizing the U.S. arsenal might be empty if they ever need help. The trust is gone. The alliance is crumbling. Donald Trump, the man who thought he could start a war, kill innocent people, and then end it on his own terms, has instead created a monster that is devouring his own legacy. He has united the world against his policy, strengthened the strategic axis of Iran and China, and left the United States more isolated and vulnerable than at any point in modern history. Iran has stated clearly that the strait will remain closed to the U.S. and its allies, and that true security only returns when the United States leaves the Persian Gulf for good.
Heavy, man. And this all leads to prophecy, man. Okay? And you see, real quick, I want to get this. All right? Because these nations, okay, when you go here, and just like he said, these nations see that this ain't Afghanistan, this ain't Iraq, this ain't Syria, this ain't Libya. It's different. Now there's a price of war that these nations ain't used to paying. Okay? Now there's bodies. Now, okay, there's what you call casualties. Yeah, now there's actual casualties that are racking up. Okay? And these nations, Iran has put their, the Lord, as scripture say, that wild boar. The Lord got that wild boar putting on the display of force, of capabilities, and these nations, they're bagging up. And they're bagging away from America and the Lord God to where, okay, America is being centered out. Okay? If we bag away from America, we can dodge, okay, having to go head into this war. You see? So the Lord has this thing perfectly set up for the sake of prophecy, man. Okay? Because the worst move right now, the Lord's so swift, okay, because before February 28th, all right, it was very beneficial to be an ally to America. It was beneficial to be an ally. Okay, you will have protection, you will have, access to this global market. Okay, you can become wealthy off the American consumer market. You have access to the American consumer market. Okay, you had so-called security with this American presence, which we seen that was a fraud. Okay, but then after the 28th, okay, what the Lord used Iran to do was make it, all right, a liability to be, okay, a ally to America, man. Okay, now let's go to this real quick because showing you these coward Edomites. Okay, because when America, all right, was pummeling, like I say, Desert Storm. Okay, that's the wrong one. Let's go here. So when America was pummeling, all right, Iraq and Desert Storm, Iraq in 2003, Syria, okay, Libya, okay. These same nations that are now bagging up, okay, they was with it. Okay, so you go here real quick. All right. I just want to go into it. It says major U.S. and coalition since 1991. All right, so the Gulf War, what they call Desert Storm. All right, in 91. All right, it says huge coalition. You had over 30 plus countries, including UK, France, Canada. These same countries, they're like, nah, we good on this one. Australia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. Okay, so these same exact countries, all right, that was at the forefront of helping America with the Gulf War with Iraq. Okay, they're falling back now. War in Afghanistan, very large NATO-led coalition, 50 plus countries. Okay, NATO allies involved. All right, included United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, France, the same bunch. Plus more. several more. Over 50 countries helped America with Afghanistan, man. Okay? Over 50 countries. All right? But in this war, you don't see that because it's a prophecy, man. And then these nations see, like, okay, this is different. These niggas hit back. And these niggas precise. And they still don't know what Iran is capable of doing. This is just the beginning. Then they know Russia is behind them. They know China is behind them. So it's like, okay? The Iraq war, all right? United Kingdom, UK was always there. UK was always there. And that's why Trump said, I was surprised by the UK. Okay? But that nigga Starmer, you can tell he terrified, man. When that nigga talk, you can look in his eyes, he terrified, man. Okay? Australia, Poland, all right? 2011 intervention in Libya, led by NATO. Okay, UK, France, Canada. Canada's always been there too, and now Canada, okay, is the head, okay, of these different nations saying, look, we're gonna do something else. We're gonna go about this another way. Okay, America-led intervention in Syria, UK, France, Australia. Okay, even Turkey helped with that. Well, you know, Turkey finna flip. Okay, most consistent partner has been the UK. Okay, frequent, you know, Australia, France, and Canada. Occasional Germany, but now you see no one is answering their war call this time, man, because they see this one is different. I say these niggas hit back, these Persians hit back, you know, and they hitting back hard. So now we good on this one, you know. So let's go from there. Because even with America wanting to use these EU nations, okay, it's still all right. Let's go here. Let's play this real quick.
The first person you would ask, of course, is Israel. They should have been running to the front of the line, pledging this and every single sort of naval asset they have if it was that important. But they don't want to because they know that Israel and the U.S. together will paint such a amazing target for the Iranians. It would be so irresistible, and they will take losses. They wanted to use the European countries as shields, as diplomatic shields to try to diffuse some of the pressure and the problems created by this unilateral. The first person you would ask, of course, is Israel. They should have been running to the front of the line, pledging this and every single sort of naval asset they have if it was that important. But they don't want to because they know that Israel and the U.S. together will paint such a amazing target for the Iranians. It would be so irresistible, and they will take losses. They wanted to use the European countries as shields, as diplomatic shields to try to diffuse some of the pressure and the problems created by this unilateral war of choice by the U.S. and Israel. That's the only reason that he would want to drag the Europeans in, to sort of spread out and diffuse the pressure and drag them into the quagmire to take pressure off him. And additional international pressure, force more pressure on Iran. That and by making these countries or putting them in the target zone, running the gauntlet, they're just asking for a situation where Denmark or the UK or France takes losses, and all of a sudden it rouse up the patriots back in Europe, and they're now in the war. Okay, that a lot of European leaders aren't going to take the bait on this. Why? Because this was a undeclared, unprovoked war of choice by the United States and Israel. That's simply because now they have no leg to stand on with Ukraine. If they do go behind Trump on this, that destroys the entire Ukraine justification, the whole narrative, the whole diplomatic position, everything. And the other thing is, Trump said, he said that, well, you know, we didn't need to come and help the Europeans in NATO with the situation in Ukraine, but we did it anyway. I mean, where is this president getting off?
He in his first term plowed lethal weapons into Ukraine. His first term sandbagged, helped to drag the feet on the Minsk Accords, the implementation of UN Resolution 2202. He is responsible for escalating the conflict in Ukraine. And his predecessor, Obama, launched the coup that started the civil war that brought us to the point in Ukraine to begin with. So the United States isn't just like some casual bystander with regards to the Ukraine conflict. So it's either Trump's inability to understand his own country's geopolitical position and accountability that goes with that, or he's just really out to lunch, and everything that we're saying right here goes right over his head.
Yeah, because going back, like I said, this whole Ukraine war, Trump, all right, in America. But even going back to the Obama administration, America, they did a coup, okay, in Ukraine, okay, and that's how you get this guy Zelensky, okay, this pro-Western, okay, figurehead in Ukraine, which began to allow NATO and America to build up, all right, weapon stockpile in Ukraine. Okay, which was a red line to Russia, and that's why Russia invaded. Okay, but it was America and NATO mainly America that provoked that war in Ukraine. Okay, and then Trump comes the second term and acts like he just peacemaker. No, you started that war too, nigga. Okay, you was in the driver's seat. Okay, with that war. Okay, and now you got this whole thing with Iran, which is a whole another, all right, Quagmire. Okay, and now these nations are like, look, man, we just gonna fall back from you, man. Like we gonna do something else. Okay, and like I say, he just wanted to use those European nations as a shield, to try to, because he doesn't, because if Iran was to strike, was more than likely, if they would have went down there, Iran was gonna hit their ass, man, because it's a no-go zone. Okay, and this was gonna try to sway the public, okay, against Iran, and bring in these EU nations to help with the war. Okay, so we're seeing desperation from America, man. Okay, so now let's go from there. I got one more video. I might split the other one up. Yep. So I got one more video. All right. I think it's one more. I might play the other one. We'll see. Let's go here to what's a quick one here. Let's play this. All right. So the small has had a spy that was high up in the IRGC, all right, the Islamic Republic Guard Corps. Okay. So the small has had a spy, and this spy has been snuffed out. They're going to talk about it. All right. And this makes sense. And I'm going to let them speak on it. Then we'll discuss, the things that they were speaking on. All right. Let's play this.
Ismail Khani, the head of the IRGC, as an Iranian asset, as an Israeli asset.
I saw the reports.
So
you think they're true?
I think it's true. But again, we're assuming that the information that's been put out, he was always like, where's Waldo or Forrest Gump? He's always at these critical meetings and historic events, and then disappeared just before the killing started. Tying him to the murder of Hassan Nasrallah, that he was supposed to be at that meeting in Lebanon, tying him to the attack that almost decapitated the Iranian leadership last June 13th. And then he was supposed to be at this meeting on February 28th. And I guess he was there and then excused himself 8 to 15 minutes before the bomb hit.
Wow.
And I think that was the final straw for the counterintelligence folks. And they grabbed him up and concluded he was an Israeli asset and executed him.
So, and it makes sense why they was pushing for regime change, because if they had somebody on the inside that was that high up, within the IRGC, all right, Iran's military, okay, if they had somebody that high up, okay, that was an Israeli spy, okay, that had been flipped, okay, that makes sense why they thought they had a good chance at regime change, because they had somebody higher up, that they thought they could cause chaos with, with the bombing campaign, and he would begin to, draw out the military unto himself, okay, and then the West would back him, all right, and put him in power, okay, and he would have, the favor of certain, military personnel, so this guy, a lot of these meetings that the Small has been able to destroy, to do airstrikes on these certain meetings. Well, he's been at all of them so far, but he will always dismiss himself. So now, this last one in February 28th, okay, because there's only so much AI can do. You need humans on the inside. You need people on the inside to really have good intel. Okay, there's only so much AI can do. Okay, so with this guy here, the one they just caught, they snuffed out and executed. That's a big blow to the Small Hats intelligence with having someone on the inside. Okay, so yeah, it's not going good. Okay, because a lot of Mossad and CIA got caught, in these riots that happened in January. At the beginning of the year, these riots that happened in Iran. So a lot of Mossad and CIA, okay, agents got caught up in that, executed, okay. So all these gimmicks and these schemes of the Small Hats in America is all running to an end, okay, and prophecy is in full effect. So let's play a little bit more of this.
I think from the West, the standpoint of Washington and Tel Aviv, they had assumed that with Khani in this position, they take out that top leadership, they can work with Khani to get the IRGC to come over to support an uprising, oust the Islamic Republic. Well, that didn't happen.
So you're saying he might have been one of the people that Trump had in mind to lead a regime change operation. And when Trump said he's no longer there, it's not that he was killed with the strikes. Potentially, he was arrested by the IRGC and executed, correct, as you're saying, as the report said.
Correct. Okay. Now, what the West didn't also count on is the effect that this surprise attack on February 28th would have on the youth, on the 20-year-old and 30-year-olds in the country. Because remember, they have the last time Iran was attacked like this was in 1980, September of 1980 by Saddam Hussein. So, let's say you were born on September 1st, 1980, you'd now be 46 years of age. You would have no real memory of it. You were 8 years old when that 8 or 9 years old when that war ended. So, I don't remember much about being 8 or 9, glimpsing memory, but nothing political, nothing about world events. So these people right now between the ages of 18 and 46, they are very energized. And people, I spoke the other day to a young Iranian who has his own podcast still. And I would put him in the category of those who were sort of, not supportive of the Islamic Republic in December of 2025. Now he is an ardent supporter. So the U.S. miscalculated in that regard. Then what we're learning is Donald Trump ignored the intelligence community's warnings, as well as military. We've had several reports now over the course of the last 15 days. One, that General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, had advised strongly against doing this. that there were too many unknowns and too many potential pitfalls. Then we got a week ago Monday, the leak out of the Washington Post that the National Intelligence Council, which sits under the control of Tulsi Gabbard at the Office of Director of National Intelligence, that they had warned there's not the chance of regime change in Iran is very low. And I suspect they didn't realize or know at the time the penetration that Mossad had. That's the kind of thing operationally they wouldn't share with the analysts. And then over this weekend, Wall Street Journal's out with an article saying Trump had been warned that Iran would shut down the Strait of Hormuz, but he just ignored the warning. So right now you're seeing this Washington intelligence establishment distancing itself from President Trump and basically saying this is his fault. Trump, for his part, continues to make the most outlandish statements, such as, "Oh, we've destroyed."
So just divisions everywhere, man. Division everywhere, especially when things don't go as planned and when things go horrible. Okay, and now everybody's just putting it all on Trump. But see, Trump couldn't deny prophecy, man. Hey, Trump is here for a reason, man. Okay, which let's say he's the perfect puppet for the elites. Okay, to go forth with their new world order agenda. So this had to happen. The least of the flock had to draw America into this war. Okay, so no amount of intelligence or military advice was going to stop this from happening, man. Okay, the devils, they was forced to go with their move. Okay, now time is not on their side. Now they have to hurry up and fulfill these other things, man. Okay, so it worked out perfect, for for the hopeful elect. Abaratazar, we have that number. This works greatly in our favor, man. That these things are happening like they're happening.
100% of Iran's military capabilities. Therefore, we need China and France and Germany and the British to help us open the Strait of Hormuz. Well, wait a second. If you've destroyed Iran's military 100%, why do you need anybody's help? It should be open. There shouldn't be any shooting back. But, the fact of the matter is, despite estimated Iran's ballistic missile capability, the West has not. And in fact, I continue to argue, based upon videos of the underground missile cities in Iran, that Iran has more ballistic missiles than the West has calculated. And that comes at a time that the West, the two key weapon systems to defeat ballistic missiles out of Iran, the THAAD and the Patriot missile, they have been effectively depleted. They're out. There's no more to be had. They can.
You mean that almost? You mean?
Yeah, man. So it's just bad news, man. All right, bad news for the West, bad news for America, bad news for Edomites. Okay, bad news for the elites, bad news for the common man. All right, the civilians finna get bad all the way around. Okay, so let's I guess I'll play this one too. Hey, you just tap in. Sometimes a marathon. Okay. So you got, because it's beautiful just to go into all this bad news. If a brother can put that in Sirach 25:7, Baba Gashah. Sirach 25:7. This is the brother GMS Bum Malak. All right. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. And the Lord is showing us that he is. Okay. There's nothing these nations can do. All right. That can stop prophecy from being fulfilled. Okay, the Lord caused these events to happen and thrust these nations into prophecy, to fulfilling prophecy, man. Okay, and it began with the small hats, the least of the flock, drawing them out. Okay, they threw America. All right, the small hats, they threw America at Iran. Okay, Iran retaliated and kept retaliating. Now we're in a whole nother different situation. Okay, now the planet Earth, the nations of the earth, okay, are are pivoting away from America, man. Okay, because America has to be isolated for prophecy to be fulfilled to all these nations to destroy this place, man. You know, and it's a beautiful thing just to see, you know, Esau, Edom, and the elites, you know, they still trying to control in the background, trying to manipulate, man. Well, they're losing it, man. Okay, they're beginning to lose control. They're not going to be able to manage this war. Okay, it's gonna get away from them, man. All right, and it's gonna lead to the end of the empire Edom. Okay, GMS Bum Malak. This is Ecclesiasticus 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy in his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Okay, he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy, man. And we're seeing the fall of our enemy, man. What a beautiful thing. Okay, everything that this devil attempts to do from here on out, it works against him. It's not in his favor. Okay, everything that we see the devil attempt to do. Now, you have here domestically, okay, if a brother want to push that, how, you know, the soldiers of Babylon have forborne to fight. All right, I believe it's in Jeremiah. You know, if a brother want to post that. Okay, so let's go here. Let's watch this, because this domestically. All right, U.S. soldiers don't want to be in Iran. Okay, and these pampered Americans ain't built for this war, man. Okay, let's go here.
I don't know if you have to hear that, but them gunshots is getting real close, y'all. This shit not looking too good, I ain't gonna lie. Iran, they might have won this shit. I ain't gonna lie, too many motherfuckers begging out. This shit not good. I ain't gonna lie, this shit raps. GG's in the chat, yo.
And I promise you, that's the mindset of most of the soldiers over there. We don't want to be there. This is not our fight. Think about it. We were forced to be over there. A lot of the soldiers, they weren't expecting to be boots on the ground out in Iran.
And see, you people still saying we. All right, linking yourself to this American empire. Well, guess what? You're not gonna have to go to that war, because the war gonna come over here. Okay, there's gonna be civil unrest and those nukes coming over here. Okay, so not getting deployed is not that doesn't exempt you from judgment. See, people don't understand that the Lord is judging this place, man. The Lord is judging America abroad and at home. The Lord is judging the nations of the earth. That's why he's allowing them to get ready to go into this war, man, to judge each other. Okay? Is the World War III is going to be about these nations judging each other, man, until Yahushua shows up and judges them all and finalizes everything, man. Okay? So civil unrest, you Americans are going to be judging each other. Okay? And in this Third World War, these nations are going to be judging each other, man. Okay? With these exchanges. All right? And eventually, let's say after the MOTB is mandated, it's going to go nuclear, man. And that's when all these nations are going to shoot missiles on America, man. Okay? But Jake said, shit, Iran and won this shit. Jake, you know, you niggas jumping in the military, don't know what the hell going on in the earth, just getting in the military. Okay? Let's play this.
They have no reason to be there. So that's the mindset of a lot of our soldiers over there. The Iranian soldiers, now they have a reason to fight. They have seen what the United States have done to them. Schools being blown away, 150 plus children killed, their leader killed, and family killed. Now their new leader has a reason to take vengeance on us. So of course they want to fight us. Of course. We don't want to be there. It's just like World War II. The United States wasn't originally in the war. The World War II started 2 years prior to us getting involved.
The only reason we got involved is because Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. When that happened, the next day we were out and we had a reason to fight. We have no reason to fight this time.
Today, one of our members received a message offering a $30,000 bonus to come back in. So we need to get the message out to all those who are not yet deployed. Now is the time to resist. If you joined up for values of honor, courage, and commitment, if you joined up to defend your communities, now is the time to defend your communities by refusing this illegal and immoral war.
So they're giving, 30,000 bonuses to veterans to come back. Okay. Well, nah, you have, these protests saying, nah, don't go back even for 30,000. Everybody hurting. So even for 30,000, people like, nah. You had the whole Epstein thing. So people are looking at the leadership like, this shameful spewing. So it's just all going bad for this devil, man. Okay? It's all going bad and it's going to get worse, man. You see? But nah, even for 30,000, people are like, nah, we good. Just to show you the contempt, all right, the contempt that people have for America, within America, abroad, okay? The division amongst the leadership, okay? They starting to blame each other, and intelligence blaming Trump, Trump blaming Pete Hegseth, Mark Rubio blaming the small hat. So they're all over the place, man. Okay? The shit show is coming to a head. Okay? Let's play this a little more.
The Strait of Hormuz is not opening up anytime soon. The United States Navy has rejected Trump's request for them to deploy to the Strait of Hormuz and escort oil tankers through the strait to collect oil. They're saying it's just too dangerous. That area has always been a choke point. Not to mention Iran has put multiple measures in place to make sure no one dares to enter the Strait of Hormuz. They have over 2,000 attack boats ready to go. They are also putting mines in the water. And then not to mention them being in proximity enough to be able to launch missiles at any minute that could hit their target in minutes. Also, with United States military bases basically destroyed in that region, the Navy wouldn't even have any support if they did decide to do this. I really hope all you Trump supporters are seeing just how incompetent this man is, just how much he really does not know anything about the job he so badly wanted to take over.
To be deployed.
A Marine colonel with 24 years of service just resigned. Not for money, not for politics, but because he says Donald Trump is pushing the military past its constitutional limits. Colonel Doug Krugman wrote in the Washington Post that he couldn't keep serving under a commander who, in his words, shows disregard for the Constitution. He's urging other service members to think before following any orders that could be illegal or immoral. I'm a military family. Almost everyone in my family has served, so I understand what that oath really means. You swear to protect the Constitution, not a politician. And when someone at the top starts testing that line, good soldiers start asking hard questions. Krugman didn't just quit a job. He gave up a lifetime career to make a statement. That loyalty to the Constitution comes first. That's not rebellion. That is its truest form of patriotism. If you believe in this country and what it's supposed to stand for, then share this. Because if people like him are...
I'm going to be honest, I can't go to Iran. I can't deploy to Iran.
And somebody in the White House needs to take Trump and sit his ass the fuck down. Like already hard, then we got to worry about this bullshit. Ever since you
you are in the United States military, quit. This is not a popular action. You will come home not a hero, but a traitor to the American people. There is no pride or patriotism in serving a oligarchic empire, and there is no pride and patriotism in being pawned off to benefit billionaire oligarchs. And while it is never a moral choice to kill another people's children to feed your own, I understand that that is the situation many people in the military feel that they are. And while everyone's situation is different, there are organizations that can help you make the better choice of leaving that terrorist organization in a way that minimizes your legal obligation and legal risk. And this is also a message to military wives, military mothers, military brothers. If you have any influence on what your child, what your sister, what your spouse is doing, use it the most effective way possible. Because if you do not support the terrorist actions that they are being told to do, obviously right now in Iran and around the Middle East, you have a moral obligation to prevent it. And that doesn't mean standing on the sidelines, being less effective at being a terrorist. That doesn't mean complaining to the terrorist in charge. That means
So we're at war with Iran right now, and it's pretty contained for the moment, emphasis on the moment, but that's probably going to change tonight as U.S. air assets get involved over the Iranian battle space. I just want to make a video for you to send to anyone you know who's a veteran or currently in the military who's really banging the war drums. The United States is the greatest threat to world peace, global stability, and is the most lawless nation on earth. I'm fourth generation Army. I grew up in the whole arsenal of democracy propaganda. I was in a special operations unit during Obama's Afghanistan surge while we were propping up pedophilic narco warlords in Kandahar and Helmand as part of a nation building exercise. What that means is the government takes all your tax money and gives it to private contractors to prop up a government that nobody wants. If you are in the military right now, just know that you are not serving your country. You are not fighting for freedom or democracy. You are fighting for about 1,000 odd child trafficking, parasitically wealthy billionaires who do not believe in countries or nation states in the same way that you do. They believe they are above that peasant stuff. You think little Marco Rubio is in charge. You think dumbass Pete Hegseth is actually in charge of the Department of War. The person who's running the Department of War is the private equity billionaire deputy director Steve Feinberg, who has never served in the military, but who was the head of DynCorp International, a private military contractor until 2020. You are fighting to make rich men who view you with utter contempt even richer. It's 2026, y'all. It's time to grow up. Every imperial war we fight is a war on the global working class, of which you are a part. These billionaire MFers don't believe in international boundaries when having class consciousness, so why do you? What's happening right now will further immiserate your material conditions, and you have more in common with your average Iranian than you ever will with the pedos you're fighting for. Again, you are not fighting for America or democracy. You're fighting for inhumanly rich child cannibals, essentially, who think you are cattle. So have fun with that. It's a difficult process to de-propagandize, but I have faith in you, and I believe you can do it.
Yeah, man. So it just goes on, and I'll leave this in the comment as well. Put some more of these videos in the comment. Yeah, man. So you see the sentiment. Okay, and this is all prophecy, man. You see, this is all prophecy, man. And it's all coming out. Okay, you know, the American military is ran by, you know, the elites. Okay, you know, Rubio, these guys, they all answer to the elites. They go to war not based off what the generals say, but based off, all right, these elites, man, and their agendas. Okay, so let's let me see. But you just had this call, you know, to leave the military. You know, you have this call, you know, to not follow unconstitutional orders. Okay. So it's getting hard for America, man, to project power, man. And these people, the Americans, especially, they finna get ready to feel more economic strain. Okay. And it's gonna hit these owner operators, okay, that you know, they have these trucks that take the diesel, all right, with diesel is through the roof. You know, certain military leadership is retiring, okay, because of Trump. Let me see. Let's play this one real quick. Let's see, probably about right. So let's play this one real quick. It's about 3 minutes. This guy channel got some decent videos as well. All right. And you see on the screen, you got this picture of these military men who said they all died for Netanyahu. And Small has constantly been, called out. Okay. Small has in America being isolated going into this war, man, because they gonna get the worst of it. All right, from all these other nations, the small hats in America gonna get the worst of this war, man. Okay, with America getting the absolute worst of it. So let's play this.
You don't have to be a part of this. The Center on Conscience and War, over 85 years of helping U.S. service members, conscientious objectors. Call for free professional advice at 1-800-379-2679. Max Blumenthal writes, attention American service members, if you do not want to get in the box for Israel or bomb schools and hospitals, there is help. Call this number, 1-800-379-2679. This is...
So they got numbers now to call, to try to help you legally get out the military, man. This how far it's going. And this just the beginning. This not even a month in. This is the beginning, the very beginning, not even a month in. So there's already, all right, these service members are looking for loopholes to get out. Okay? Because you sign these contracts or you're bound, and they can hold you legally. You can face charges by not upholding your duties, man. So let's play this. This is where the American population is at with it, man.
This is what you should all be sharing with your friends and family, folks, who are in the war right now. Even if they don't agree with you, just give them something to think about, right? Hundreds have called our hotline. Hundreds. I immediately saw this account, this organization, 85 years of a track record. I immediately told all of the big telegrams that I know for a fact U.S. service members are watching very closely, because in many of these cases, they are the media arms of a lot of these organizations in the Middle East, militant organizations. And I said, share this, because people need to see that there is another option, a legal option. You can't just go AWOL. You can't just deny order, right? You will be prosecuted. You will be held criminally liable. You will be dishonorably discharged. Do not, do anything that puts you in criminal territory, liability of being prosecuted, locked up in prison. We don't want that either. But there are legal options to avoid being a part of this. Center on Conscience and War said hundreds have called our hotline. The most common thing we hear from service members and their families is that the Manab school bombing was the catalyst that turned them against the war and the military as a whole. Mike Preissner, who is a U.S. veteran, one of the most outspoken and most notable figures that campaign against the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, he said, I have taken a good number of these calls. I assume he's volunteering. You definitely hear, I don't want to die for Israel, but refusal to fight triggered by the Manab girls' school massacre is much more of a frequent refrain. The anti-war movement can and must appeal to the morality of service members in this moment. And some people will say, like they don't have morality or they wouldn't sign up. Most of these people, I grew up in a town right near Camp Pendleton. Most of these people, they come from families with no money. They have no money. They have no hope. They have no education. They have no understanding of what's going on in the world. They don't know what's going on in their own community, let alone halfway around the world. They couldn't point to her on a map before they signed up if their life depended on it. Like, the truth is, we do need to understand that there are a lot of people right now in the U.S. military who are appalled, who are fearful, who don't want to die. I am imploring you to please send this video, send this information, send that phone number, send this organization to anyone you know who is a U.S. military personnel right now, because the
there you go, man. You know, and I think I left a link to that, but that's the gist of that, man. You just see, okay, and a little bit over 2 weeks, it's gotten to this point already, okay. And Iran said they still got stuff they haven't shown yet. They still got weaponry they haven't used yet. They still got, all right, a strategy that's unfolding. Okay, so for brother also get that too. Isaiah 46, and let's get this Isaiah 46 verses 9 and 10. Baba Kashah. Well, let's get this. I believe the brother got it. Yep, and get this one too. It's the brother GMS Bun Malak, Isaiah 19 and 16. It says, "In that day shall Egypt be like unto women." Okay? Because America don't produce warriors, man. Okay? This convenient, pampered, all right, matriarchal, is heavy, Queen of Heaven spirit over here. Okay? America don't produce warriors like it used to. Okay? The men, these men of America not built, all right, to go to no war. And then there's nothing to fight for. They've been complaining about, the government for the last, since the pandemic, open complaint about the government has been on the rise. But see, you people, you still going to be judged, man. So even if you get out of the military, okay, even if you get out of the military, what you going to do about the nukes coming here? Okay, what you going to do about the civil unrest that's going to come here? All right, because of the war. Okay, so this war is going to affect you whether you're on the front lines, okay, or whether you're in your neighborhood. The war, okay, it's going to be a world war. It's going to spill over. It's going to affect everything in the world. Okay, so it says, "And it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over." So the Lord is shaking his hand at America, man. Okay? He's shaking his hand at these Edomites. Okay, you proud Americans have been so proud because you same Americans. You wasn't saying this when y'all did what y'all did in Venezuela. See, now you fight somebody to hit back. Because that was wrong how y'all did Venezuela. Y'all went and kidnapped another nation's president and his wife. Okay, that was wrong. You wasn't talking about leaving the military then, but now that you see Iran hit back, and they hit back hard, now you somehow you got a conscience now. Okay, because all these wars you've been fighting has been for the international bankers. Okay, for these pedos, for these Satanists, every war that you participating in has been for wickedness. But now that you see these niggas hit back, I got a conscience now. Nah, your ass, a lot of you still gonna be stuck in these contracts. Okay, a lot of people finna get drafted. Okay, more than likely, and then it's gonna be civil unrest and chaos here. So the Lord is shaking the hand at Egypt, man. America, man. This is the Lord's judgment, man. Okay, this is way bigger than what you people think, and this is why it's no escaping it, man. You see, let's go here to Jeremiah 51 and 30. It said, "The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They become as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Okay, her bars. Okay, which her protection is broken. Okay, so that fighting spirit ain't in America, man. You see, America has been used to dominate, man. Okay, these weaker nations, man. But now that the Lord is beginning to intervene, okay, and to break down, to begin to cut and sunder the hammer of the earth. Now you see that America is touchable, okay, and that wars go both ways, because America has been waging these one-way wars for a long time, and they forgot that this go both ways, okay. And now that they see, oh shit, the war go both ways, you know, now it's everybody got conscience now. Nah, it don't work like that, man. Okay, so let's go here. This is the brother of Mark Abal, Isaiah 46 verses 9 through 10. It says, remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, okay, and from ancient, and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand. I will do all my pleasure. Okay, so we're seeing the Lord do all his pleasure in the earth, man. And the Lord told us these things from the beginning. And now, all right, things that was written thousands of years ago are playing out real time in this time. You know, the Lord spoke of these things before the technology existed for these prophecies to be fulfilled, showing you that he is, man. Okay, so I'll leave it there. You know, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again, and give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessed salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.